Government of India, Dr. S. Jayashankar. He will be chairing the session. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Let's welcome Honorable External Affairs Minister, Government of India, Dr. S. Jayashankar, who will be chairing the session. Diaspora Divas, celebrating women's leadership and influence. Nari Shakti. This is already houseful and I can see more number of audience are there. This is praiseworthy. I can totally recall a sloka. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramanti tatra devataha. From our Vedas and Puranas, the sloka essentially narrates the society which respects women can actually have the capability to prosper, to develop in true sense. A big round of applause for all the Nari Shakti. The session celebrates the indomitable spirit of women leaders from the Indian diaspora who have made remarkable contributions across diverse fields and regions of the world. They embody the essence of Nari Shakti, the unstoppable force of empowered women who are shaping our world with courage, creativity, and compassion. As we delve into their stories and insights, let's remember the golden words by Malala Yousafzai who say, "We can't all succeed when half of us are held back." So true. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to have with us as our chair, Dr. S. Jayashankar, India's External Affairs Minister, who is a distinguished diplomat and a visionary leader with an illustrious career. India's global stature has significantly risen with initiatives like Neighborhood First, Act East, and strengthening ties with major powers. As an author, his books, The India Way, Strategies for an Uncertain World, offers profound insights into India's foreign policy and global positioning, reflecting his deep understanding of geopolitical complexities. One more book, Why Bharat Matters. A staunch advocate of women's empowerment, Dr. Jayashankar has consistently emphasized the importance of gender equality in international forums and supported initiatives promoting women leadership in diplomacy and development. This also calls for a thundering round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. His commitment to nation building, coupled with his forward-thinking approach, has made him a respected figure both in India and on the global stage. Allow me to introduce our moderator. Leading us through this inspiring discussion is none other than Dr. Ritu Karibal, a distinguished Indian scientist and aerospace engineer from ISRO. Known as the Rocket Woman of India, she played a pivotal role in the Mars Orbiter mission and Chandrayaan projects. Dr. Karidal exemplifies the power of women, breaking barriers and reaching for the stars. Ma'am, we welcome you, and I hand over the floor to our befitting moderator to carry the session forward. All the best to our dignitaries and panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's my honor and privilege to be part of this wonderful session. I'll request our Honorable Minister to start this session with his opening remarks.
First of all, a very good morning to being on this panel. Now, I do want to say that under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, actually a number of issues pertaining to gender equality, to women development, etc., are very much a part of our international activities and foreign policy as well. In fact, when we chaired the G20, we pushed very strongly for the concept of women-led development and got it accepted in the G20 conceptual framework. And thereafter, we actually pushed for it very strongly when the Summit of the Future took place as well. Secondly, we do a lot of development cooperation, especially with countries of the Global South. We are present in different ways through projects and capacity building in 78 countries of the Global South. And in many of them, actually, our projects target, gender-sensitive issues, women's equality, opportunities for them. So I do want to say this is very much built into our foreign policy, and therefore it's for me a great source of satisfaction to be sitting here with all of you. Just want to share a few other thoughts. When you look at it, in a way, we are talking about a set of challenges which are truly age-old, which unfortunately are often deeply percolated into our culture and traditions. So when we seek today to progress, we are addressing not challenges which are obvious and simple, but things which are very deeply ingrained in society and therefore that much harder really to overcome. So it starts at birth, nutrition, health, education. Basically it becomes an issue of who has, in a way, a claim on the resources of the family, and that is where actually the deepest discrimination is practiced. And then of course it spills over into the workplace, into opportunities, and all of you know it far better than I would ever do. Now, we are today also gathered with a larger theme of Viksit Bharat. Now, you cannot have Viksit Bharat, you cannot progress towards Viksit Bharat if you don't address this issue. Because, this is at least 50% of what the challenge is. That until we are able to deal with many of this, I would say, traditional, historical, societal attitudes, if India is to become a modern, industrial, tech-centric society, then we cannot neglect 50% of our talent. We cannot deprive them of opportunities or shortchange them in many ways. So I leave all of you to discuss this in further, but I do want to say that make role models eventually into trends. That if they are replicated, if they are internalized, if they are normalized, then they actually have a transformational impact on society. And before I conclude, I just want, again, because many of you come to India perhaps with gaps in your visits. Some of you may be here for the first time, some of you have been here before. So I also want to give you a snapshot really of the changes in this domain over the last decade. And allow me to share, some of these facts. I mean, the improvement in the national sex ratio, for example, the paid maternity leave for 26 weeks, the fact that 300 million, 30 crore Mudra Yojana loans have been given out to women entrepreneurs, that 43% of the enrollment today in STEM is of girls, that 28% has been the increase in the female enrollment in higher education, that 32 million Sukanya Samriddhi, accounts have been opened up for education, that 100 million smoke-free kitchens today have you built, how many metros, how many cities, how many airports? Yes, that is certainly a way of mentioning. But that is superficial until we address the human side of that progress. And to my mind today, these are really some of the powerful changes which are happening in India. But like any change, as I said, they require role models, they require inspirations, they require divas. So on that note, may I hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us such strong statistics of government initiatives towards women empowerment. Taking forward to this session on Diaspora Divas, celebrating women's leadership and influence, Nari Shakti. Nari Shakti, India's commitment to women empowerment, is rooted in the ethos of Nari Shakti, which reflects a transformative journey towards fostering gender equality and unleashing the full potential of women in all spheres of life. And as Sir has mentioned, with many programs, initiatives and schemes, Government of India has aimed at the historic achievement of Chandrayaan mission is a shining example. The successful lunar landing near Moon's South Pole, named as Shiva Shakti Point by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, is not just a landmark in India's space exploration, but also a symbol of the invaluable contributions made by Indian women scientists and engineers, and yes, most importantly, getting recognized in such a magnificent way. Now coming to our celebrated India's women diaspora. India's women diaspora further amplifies this narrative by making significant contributions globally. Spread across continents, these women have made remarkable contributions in diverse fields such as technology, academia, business, arts, medicines, politics, and becoming ambassadors of India's culture and intellectual heritage. Today in this panel, we have with us 8 such wonderful women who will be sharing with us their achievements, their contributions, experiences, and also the recommendations and suggestions necessary to enable and sustain the women empowerment across the various parts of the globe. With us, I would like to first introduce Ms. Shulat Cox from Jamaica. She is originally from the land of Mahakumbh and 3rd generation Indian. She is the president of Jamaican Promotions Corporation. She has worked on numerous projects to drive reform of government processes, support small businesses, prioritizing the women-led business development. Ma'am, kindly share across the globe.
And also for the privilege through the High Commission in Jamaica for participating in this panel. Now, to go to the question that you asked, Ritu, about my experience and what led me to become what I believe and certainly what you believe to be an empowered woman. And it comes down to one basic truth. Growing up in Jamaica, nobody told me that I could not do anything I wanted to do. And I think being a part of a country like Jamaica, and for the audience, I want to just to let you know that Jamaica is not a part of Africa. It's actually a very small island of 3 million people. Cricket, right? We're from the West Indies. So just to let you know. But growing up in Jamaica, what we saw were very empowered women. In 2023, there was a global gender parity index that named Jamaica the 24th country in the world in terms of gender parity. And we were second in terms of freedom of economic independence. That means how we support women in business. And some quick statistics. Right now in Jamaica, 29% of our cabinet ministers are women, and that's above the global average of 26%. We have 26% women in our parliaments, or upper and lower houses. And in fact, when Jamaica had its first free elections in 1944, we elected a woman parliamentarian in Jamaica. As a rule, the government of Jamaica has 30% requirement for women on boards of government entities. And in our private sector, publicly listed women directors account for 22%. So everywhere I looked growing up, as the Honorable Minister mentioned, I saw role models that told me that I could rise to anything I wanted to be. And at home, it was the same. As Ritu mentioned, I'm a third generation Indian. My grandparents, my paternal grandparents, came from India to Jamaica in 1917. But by the time I was born, my grandfather had passed. And so my grandmother was the head of my family. And we talk about not only women that are empowered, but the men that allow the freedom of that empowerment. Because my father and my uncles never treated it as anything that my grandmother, what she said, goes. And that's the household I grew up in. And so growing up and becoming a professional, and one of the biggest influences I had in my life was one of my older cousins who, for good or for bad, when I was in high school, my cousin was my high school principal. And so, but he, as a Hindu, brought Hinduism into our school, and we celebrated India Day just as how we celebrated Jamaica Day. And so, even though I was third generation, I grew up understanding who I was as an Indian. So fast forward now to being the president of a government agency, who, by the way, is 73% women, and in our 35-year history has only been led by a man less than 5 years out of that 35. So again, the role models keep going. But in the 2 years since I've been president, I've been working very closely with the high commissioners, and it has opened up the opportunities to work with the diaspora. And we have diaspora that comprises the 180 years of history that we have with India, as well as diaspora that comprises just 20 years. And all of those people are business people that I get to work with every day, including women businesses. And in Jamaica as well, we have members of the Indian diaspora that are both Muslim and Hindu. And we're able to, in my organization, as an investment and export promotion organization, we work with companies led by these women. And in fact, we have a program. It's not contained to just Indian, because as a government entity, we work with all women. We have an export development program that has 52% women in the program that we help to develop their capacity to go into overseas markets and create the economic independence that is important and is a part of the empowerment. So there's much more I could say, but I'll hand back to you now, Ritu.
Ms. Sholette, being this small community and making this remarkable contribution, amazing. Now, coming to Indonesia, Ms. Poonam Sagar, she's a very well-renowned businesswoman there, and she connects the Indian diaspora in Indonesia as the founder of IndoIndians.com, Director of Infotech Solutions, Chairman of Indonesia Indian Business Forum, empowering women entrepreneurs and fostering bilateral ties. She has completed, and very amazing, I could see in her biodata, she has completed the project of planting 1 million trees, and also providing the platforms for felicitating and awarding the extraordinary women under IndoIndians.com. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Namaste and Selamat Pagi from Indonesia. I'm very grateful and honored to be here with you, Minister. And I think we need a rocket scientist to launch us out from talking about women empowerment to where we never talk about women empowerment, because it's not a subject at all. So I'm very grateful to have Ritu here on the panel. So, talking about Nari Shakti, the 18th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebrates resilience, leadership, and the influence system. But as every immigrant knows, challenges often pave the way for learning and growth. Slowly I adapted, learned the new language, immersed myself in the culture, and connected with both the local and Indian communities. The journey taught me a profound lesson. We are stronger together. The transformation from surviving to thriving came when I found purpose in serving others. I asked myself, how can I ensure no one feels as isolated as I did? The question planted the seed for IndoIndians.com. It's a digital platform connecting the community, the diaspora in Indonesia. Founded over 25 years ago, Indo-Indians began as a simple information website and has blossomed into a thriving community platform. I am very grateful to our embassy, the Indian Embassy in Indonesia, for supporting this and also using this as a platform to connect the diaspora together, while fostering collaboration across cultures. Through events, social media, collaborative projects, Indo-Indians has become more than a network. It's a bridge between two rich cultures, India and Indonesia. One of my most fulfilling initiatives has been the Indo-Indians Extraordinary Women's Awards, which honor and celebrate women in Indonesia who lead, inspire, and create meaningful impact. I just wanted to share a little story. When we first came to Indonesia and we were looking for houses to live in, just to rent in, and we met the owners, and they said, we want this house. And they said, let me check with my wife. And we were very surprised. Here, the decision-making is equal. Both share the decision-making. And that was a big learning for me, where decision-making is not led to only one person in the family, but it's shared. So this was a big...
Yes, Poonamji, bringing the awareness through digital way, that is a demand of the day.
Yes.
And for women empowerment, the digital awareness is very, very important nowadays. And thank you so much. Now coming to Tanzania, yes, Ms. Sudha Majidya. She is a social worker, philanthropist, mental health professional. She founded a diverse group of companies, including Fast Ayurveda Retreat Resort in East Africa. And the best part, what I found, ma'am, in your data was, you are ensuring that 50% of the staff is women.
Yes, ma'am.
And creating, platforms that not only celebrate women's achievements, but also foster cross-cultural learning. So we would like to listen from you, your journey to achieve towards this achievement of empowering women in your area. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rituji. Honorable Jaishankarji, I'm a great fan of you. Esteemed guest, my fellow panel, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar, Odisha, Jambo, Tanzania, childhood in Gujarat and other areas, married to a Gujarati, settled in Tanzania for 33 years, gave me a multiple exposure and a true fragrance of Vasudeva Kudumbam. And I would like to say that when we women, we get that exposure, definitely the confidence also comes in. And along with confidence, I was privileged and blessed to get opportunity. Imagine in this world, if every girls or women get an opportunity to dream also to lead. That is very important to have a thriving society. I wouldn't say that I didn't face any challenges. There was multiple challenges. But one thing I realized, we have to find solution for everything. Like Madam Rituji said, opening Ayurveda Center in Africa was a dream. Immense challenges were there, but today proudly and happily I say that we run a successful first Ayurveda retreat resort in East Africa. As a psychologist, my special agenda for women is promoting mental health along with education. I always feel that we women, I'm not taking any sympathy, but we women always we get into a lot of multitasking, and one thing we realize that how we need to balance our act. So mental health and the promotion, the awareness, as a counselor, I work with various community from the privileged one to the vulnerable society. And as Rituji put in, my main agenda is female empowerment, and I make sure in all the organization I lead, 50% is female employees with equal pay. Also, continuous training for our folks. Finally, I would like to conclude by saying this, that we women are our great supporters. If we get the right person behind us to support, we are there and we are going to be successful. And let me stop by saying that let's decide and choose the freedom, what we want to do, not the society, it's us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Asante. I would like to thank my embassy, Biswajit ji, and the team for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhaji. Yes, promoting Ayurveda there and mental wellness. Yes, as you pointed out very rightly, this is what women need. Yes. Now coming to Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Indrani Ramprasad, 4th generation Indian, and very proud to say she is the first female priest, Pandita, state recognized by government of Trinidad and Tobago. She is a women activist, a visiting professor at Banaras Hindu University, and she is a researcher in Ramayana and culture in Gurmitya Diaspora. And she is the recipient of the National Award Gold from the government of Trinidad and Tobago for her contribution for the development of women in religion and community. Oh, that's a great introduction, I think, from my side. Please, ma'am, do share with us your challenges and how you could make these contributions in this totally different area, you know, religion and community, and bringing Ramayana into picture.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Minister, it's such a pleasure to be here. It was my goal on my visit to India to be next to you. And here I am. Thank you. Thank you. And our guests, thank you for being here. Namaste, and in the tradition of my ancestors, Ram Ram, Sita Ram. That's how we greet each other in the Gurmitya diaspora. Namaste is new to us, Ram Ram, Sita Ram. Now for me, growing up, I am a complex person. I want to learn. I always say I've never seen a picture of Ma Saraswati with her eyes closed. And that is an inspiration for me. Always learn. I'm a learner. I think I'm the oldest one on this diaspora, on this platform. 2 years ago, I completed India's first Masters in Hindu Studies at Banaras Hindu University. I was the oldest person then, older than the Vice Chancellor himself and everybody else. But I continued learning. Important to know who you are, you know, and live according to that. So when my grandfather, my Aja, said to me, why don't you become a Pandita? So he said, you're already doing the work. I was doing lectures and so on Sanatan Dharma. And I must say, I came to India in 1973 to study Sanatan Dharma. There was no such opportunity. I had to settle for Indian philosophy. But under this government, I got the opportunity for a Masters in Hindu Studies. Thank you, India. Thank you, India. Thank you, India. So my Aja said, you do that. I said, okay. I was already doing it, so I had to mix the rituals, and for me it was the scholarly aspect. That is what I understood as a pandita, the scholarly aspect, plus the rituals I had to do. It opened doorways for lots of other women. Today we have about 5 to 7 women, Hindu women priests in Trinidad. It's been a long journey. It's been hard. It's been hard. And, you know, some of the major organizations said to me, you can't be that. And I said, no, I can be what I want to be. And when a woman says no, she means no. When a woman says no, she means no. And I stood my ground, and I pursued that pathway too. That's been, by and large, the Pandita pathway.
So great. Yes, the women equality you represent by being the priest, you know, priest, the first priest there. That's a real good example of women equality. Now, coming to our youngest panelist, Ms. Maitri Joshi from Addis Ababa. She is the huge promoter of yoga and mixed martial arts, and also a digital awareness. She is promoting the digital awareness among women diaspora. Currently, she is a deputy general manager of a leading company. So yes, Maitri, we would like to listen, see all of us here, maybe we would have faced challenges in our generation. Maybe I'll call, this is our next generation, younger generation, Maitri. Their challenges are totally different. You know, the children, the kids who are born and brought up abroad, and then how to bring them into the, you know, Indian, tell them about Indian culture and tradition. So I would like to listen from you, Maitri, your work and your contribution.
Thank you so much. Jai Jagannath, Namaskar, and a very good morning to everyone. Respected Chairperson, our Honorable External Minister, esteemed panelists, my fellow Nari Shakti Divas, and my dear audience. It is a privilege to be sitting here amongst these wonderful ladies and us, our friends, our friends, our family, our partners. Besides this external pillar, there are two very important internal pillars which have played significant role in my life, and they are physical and mental. Out of these two also, one pillar which I found really like a game changer for women is physical pillar. Something that you can do, something that you can take charge on. And I have been actively part of an MMA circuit in India. I have been involved in yoga. I promote physical activities amongst women even more, because I understood that, you know, when you learn a self-defense art, the kind of power that you get from within, it cannot be substituted by anybody shouting at you from outside that you are empowered. No, the empowerment that you feel from within when you are standing at the road alone and you know that you can defend yourself. This is a game changer for me and has, you know, I think I would really want to promote it from this stage. Besides this, what we do in Ethiopia is I try to bring the youngest generation of Indians there. We conduct competitions, art competitions, or, you know, we conduct essay competitions. We do exhibitions wherein we make sure that the youngest generation of Indians abroad are in touch with the golden heritage of India, and especially the most important of them all, that women were always respected in our society, right from Rigveda till today. They've taken us to the moon and back, and, you know, we are very powerful. So I make sure that not only young women, but also young boys and men understand this, because that's how I also want to touch the third pillar, which is the pillar of emotion, yes, where the society plays a very important role. So if I want to conclude after this, I would want to say that, Indians live on the ethos of Vasudev Kutumbakam, that the world is one family. And we know, all of us, when we go back home, how important women are inside home, inside our families. Imagine the importance of women when we call the world a family. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the stage, for sharing my views. Thank you.
Thank you, Maitri. It's really wonderful works you're carrying out. And yes, you pointed out the self-defense. That is the most important part I think every woman and girl should have and should learn also. Now coming to Qatar, Miss Sakala Apachu. She is a former Miss India runner-up, models Miss in India. She's a huge promoter of Indian fashion and brands. She has worked in media, running some 6 magazines, fashion show director for the fashion school, a member, and believes in financial independence for women. Yes, the major part, how a woman can be empowered just when she has the financial independence. So we would like to know more about your work and your contributions in this area.
Thank you so much. I'd like to say Subha Sakala Odisha. I hope I'm saying it correct. Thank you, His Excellency Mr. Jaishankar, huge fan. Also, Ritu Kariyar, your accomplishments are absolutely intimidating. I'd like to thank Ambassador of India to Qatar, Mr. Vipul, who actually thought I was worthy of coming here and representing the women of Qatar. I'd also like to thank the Odisha Administrative Service, who's done a fantastic job of looking after us, my parents, my first love, and of course, Bharat Mata. Fashion is a $40 billion industry worldwide. It's just one of the biggest in the world, right after oil and gas. And we in India are huge contributors to this. It is our silks, our cottons, our embroidery that is available in all international brands, be it a Dolce & Gabbana or a Gucci or a Christian Dior. This, unfortunately, has not trickled down to our people, the prices that they offer. And the second thing that's not happened is that we have not put this information on the map. We need to understand that India is one of the hugest markets for producing this, but India is not one of the hugest markets for receiving the end product, or rather the money that the big brands make. Now, for example, Nari Shakti would be the pillars of society which we talk about. We are talking about financial, we're talking about social, and we're talking about sustainability. Financial independence for a woman is to teach a woman about how to stand on her own 2 feet, not be dependent, and always have money and always have her own voice. I was brought up in a family, my father's a military man, he was in the Air Force, and he was as big a feminist as any other woman would be. And he always said, stand on your own feet and also have respect for yourself. It is very important for us to respect ourselves as women and also be financially independent. Don't you agree, ladies? The social responsibility that we talk about is the fact that every family, the integral part of the family is that we are what we are because of the support structure within the family and within the society. Our families, our friends, our peers, our teachers, our gurus are all part of the whole social structure that teaches us to become what we are today. And that is a very important lesson that we need to understand. And the last thing is, of course, sustainability. Fashion should not be about not teaching somebody about sustainable garments, sustainability, about using less water, about buying less. It's about buying quality, which India produces, and also about buying very good products from India. I proudly say that I wear something desi every day. Every day I wear something desi. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm Indian and I produce some of the best, and I want to turn around and teach this to the rest of the world, one person at a time. So part of my journey in Qatar was to teach the Qatari kids and the Qatari women about India, from India, sourced from the best, putting Indian designers on the map for them. And it has been a slow journey. It has been an interesting journey, but it is a journey nonetheless that I like to understand. We also, I talk about the education of women, and it's very important to educate women, one person at a time, because a society that does not educate women degenerates, and you will all agree with that. I mean, we all need to educate ourselves and educate a person. So I would conclude that. Thank you, Ritu, for having me, and thank you, Odisha, again for hosting this.
Thank you, Ms. Sakala. Yes, the financial independence and the fashion, promoting fashion and promoting Indian textiles abroad is a remarkable work. Now coming to Slovenia, Ms. Koki Weber. She's been in Slovenia for 50 years and a successful businesswoman. She's founder of the brand Sari Co. handicraft stores, and she's passionately promoting Indian traditions and culture. Arriving in Slovenia from Kolkata in 1970 as a newlywed in an arranged marriage, she discovered a new way of life. I want to know, ma'am, journey of being a newlywed bride to a successful businesswoman in Slovenia.
Namaste. Very big fan of you. Always wanted to meet you.
You can tell about. Should I hold it for you? Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Oh yes, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I came to.
It's fine.
Nervous.
No problem. It's fine.
It's only normal. We all will support her, right?
Yes. I mean, she has been really, I mean, she has discovered a new way of life, which I understand from her, and that required significant resilience, adaptability, and courage.
Thank you.
You tell me your courage part.
Okay, thank you. I came to Slovenia in 1970 when Slovenia was under Yugoslavia, non-aligned, and there were no Indian families over there. And I did not know the language. I was completely lost in that world. But then, people of Slovenia were very friendly. They were very much interested in Indian culture, Indian way of life, how to wear saris, why we are putting tilak in our forehead, why there are no signs for men when they are wedded. We don't know if Indian man is married or not, but Indian women always have these signs on their forehead. They wanted to know so many things, and I brought Indian culture, Indian way of life, our God and goddesses, and our food.
She is an advisor in Norwegian government and held several leadership positions, challenged the Norwegian policies, influenced research and rewrite the narrative of women and immigrants. She is named as Norway's toughest woman. Was involved, and she was involved in the Chatterjee case to get the children returned to India, a marvelous work. And the whole major work, which she has taken up now, is initiating the world's first national leadership system standard, ISO standards, for diversity and gender equality. So your remarkable journey of, going there and bringing ISO standards, we talk about ISO in every other field when we talk about our space science and or technology or business, ISO. Now ISO is coming here also. So would like to know more about that.
Thank you so much, Rituji, and thank you, Mr. Jaishankarji. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Odisha, and thank you, the Indian government, for inviting me here. I grew up in one of the richest country, more gender equal country in the world, Norway. And during my career, I have had opportunity to have several different leadership positions at national level in Norway. What I came to know when I was in these positions, that I had a huge impact on Norwegian laws, Norwegian policies, Norwegian unions, Norwegian organizations, Norwegian politics. So I had a unique opportunity to make a difference, not only for women, but also for immigrants and diasporas. What I came to know, while I was living in most gender equal country, gender equality and diversity and inclusion were divided. Gender equality was about white women and men. They talked about equal pay, equal opportunities, women in leadership positions, and so on. But when we talk about women and men with migrant background, diasporas, it was always about diversity and inclusion, not about gender equality. As if we are only immigrants, not women or men. As our elderly parents are not elderly people in Norway or in Europe or in all Western countries, we have the same mindset, but they were only immigrants. So what I did when I was at the national level, I started to challenge Norwegian research, Norwegian policies, Norwegian laws, Norwegian politicians, and to challenge, to make a difference, we needed a framework which was recognized by not about only in Norway, but all over the world. So I started this journey. I took initiative in 2016 to develop the world's first national standard of gender equality and diversity. And after 2 years, in 2018, the standard was completed, and we started also lobbying after that. After 6 years, 33 countries voted to develop an ISO standard. So this standard, this mindset that women, men, also with darker color, also with disabilities, people with diasporas, have the equal right to equal pay, to link their contribution to value creation, sustainability, and innovation. So I wanted the Norwegian government and every country all over the world to recognize diaspora's contribution, not only focusing on inclusion, but also focusing on giving them the opportunity to embrace their contribution to the business and to unions and make a difference in the countries. I wanted a fair work life and society for all women and men. I wanted to make a difference. So when this standard was developed, we challenged Norwegian policies and research. So now we have the researchers in Norway, the policies in Norway has focused on gender equality, which include everyone. All diasporas are more treated as equals, and we are still fighting for equal opportunities, but we can make a difference. The reason why I think this standard is important can be a framework for Viksit Bharat is that we have the same challenges in India as we have in Norway at structural and systematic level. This is a system, this is a structure we can implement to make a difference. There is not one way of living. It's not one way for policymakers, for departments. So I think we have a framework now which can make a difference, not only for women in Norway or in diasporas, but all women and men in India as well. I believe in gender equality by embracing women and men. We should stand together.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Brenner. Yes, being in the leadership position and as you talked about the framework, we can discuss separately about, bringing it into our system also. It's a very great work. Now, when we have completed, I think I have covered all diverse areas of women empowerment, from religion to business to fashion to self-defense to martial arts. So I'm a really old hand. I would like to now take up the second round with the question from I think it's from the audience also, I believe that. What will be your suggestions or recommendations to young girls and women who are planning to settle abroad or become the part of the diaspora? And also how your work and influence can get aligned to Government of India initiative for Viksit Bharat. I would request you to give it in brief, maybe a minute or so. I will start with Ms. Shulit.
Thank you, Ritu. So for me, and I think Sachi mentioned it, financial independence, but to kind of bring it down to economic independence. And that's what I work on at Jampra. And that looks three ways. The first one is training. In Jamaica, we have a 75% enrollment rate in university for women. So men traditionally are the marginalized one in training. But there's certain industries that women are not a part of. And so I think one of the big things that women have to look at is that constant learning, right, Indrani? And that is a big part of economic independence. Then there are jobs, just generally jobs. But there are certain industries as well that we are aligned to as women. And I spoke about the ones that are new to us and we should get into, but we should take full advantage of the industries that women own. So in Jamaica, we do a lot of work on what we call global digital services, and that covers a lot of what's outsourcing, and India knows a lot about the outsourcing industry. And we're now trying, as you did, to move up the value chain from business process, call center, that kind of work, to knowledge process. And the training and the jobs go together. And so empowering yourself to get higher value jobs so that you're not earning a minimum wage, but you're earning at the highest level. And then the third element is business development. Women are risk averse. I know that for the women in Jamaica, I'm sure that goes across the board. And because of that, we don't enter the business world very often. We like the security of a 9-to-5 job that gives you a salary on the 25th of the month. But business opened so many months ago, and we're looking now, how can Jamaica and India work closer together to build businesses in Jamaica, but also to bring Indian businesses to Jamaica and tap into the entire Western Hemisphere. So there's a whole lot that can be done to empower women through economic independence.
Yes, the economic independence, that's the real requirement. Now coming to Ms. Poonam Sagar. So I would like to know, how your influence or work, can get aligned to Government of India's vision of Viksit Bharat.
So I like to refer back to what Gandhiji said. He said, be the change you want to see in the world. And that is true for all of us. So in being the change, for women especially, it's all about creating connection, celebrating women, and empowering them. And from that perspective, like Shulet talked about connecting businesses, Indonesia and India have a great trade deficit. Indonesia sends a lot of exports to India, but the other way around is ripe. The way is open, and the doors are opening now. So this is the time for India to make inroads into Indonesia with a lot of things, especially in the field of healthcare, education. Those are things. And these are all things that women too are a part of. And as I earlier said, we should all look at it from the part of capability and not about gender.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, you rightly mentioned. Now coming to Ms. Sudha, so what will be your take? Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I always stand for mental health. I always believe that we women, we have the capacity, no doubt about it. Like yesterday we were discussing, ma'am, she herself, she's such a good example, but what happened with us is that due to the multitasking or the multiple roles we play, at times we get into that confusion phase. So what else? We have to develop. We need more awareness programs. We need more actual programs. And I know a lot of things are happening for women. Even sir said that. But still there is a taboo. Do you agree? Still there is a taboo to go and show the world that, no, I'm the tough lady. I have depression, or I cannot talk about that. No, that should not be there. And I fight for it, even with my country, and I know Tanzania and India, with the embassy program going on, we have excellent relationship, but I've never seen anywhere any mental awareness program or anything, and I would really like to look into that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very good suggestion, ma'am, for mental awareness program. Yes, Dr. Indrani, being the priest, what will be your how you can, your work and influence can get aligned to India's vision of Viksit Bharat, our government's vision of Viksit Bharat?
Okay, in terms of India, I've been here for the past 50 years, right? First came as a teenager to India. So I'm closely aligned. Senatorship, I was not prepared. I had no mentors. And I did not feel confident going into those positions dominated by men, and that I didn't have my feet on the ground. So I think we women need to be educated, empowered that way. And in fact, we did have a course in Trinidad for empowering women in the rural areas. I did that. That was very popular. So let's empower each other through conscious mentorship. And let's listen to diaspora voices. Like that word idol. India does not understand what that does to people like me, coming from a Western civilization and that part of the world. It's a very distasteful word. We feel inner pain when you say idol, when we mean a murti or vigraha or so. Let's use our indigenous words. Why are we translating away our identity? So I want to say, let's put our feet down. Media is the most powerful force in this information age. Media is the most let's get in there and control our narrative. Be careful. India's civilizational values, my goodness, we have the answer to peace in the world. Let's pursue that, as I see already being done. I would love to be part of that. And finally, from BHU, as I said, we have the course for India's diaspora. I think the diplomats need training in India's diaspora. We've had a few who have come to us not understanding we are a different diaspora. The ones of the British colonial, European colonial times is different to the IT diaspora in the US.
Yes.
So let's understand and know each other.
Yes, we understand. So knowing each other, that is what is important. Now, Ms. Maitri would like to listen from you.
So the city that I come from, Addis Ababa, is the seat for African Union also. They have a very interesting rule wherein if they have a chairman and a deputy chairman, a chairperson, I should say. So if the chairperson is a female or a male, the other deputy chairperson will definitely be of the other gender. So this in itself is an example of, equality and this is a representation of African Union. Imagine the kind of empowerment that you are getting from just an example. Besides this, I also would want to suggest that, in today's world, the future is very digital. the future, like we have a digital world that we live in also. We talk about women empowerment in the physical realm, definitely, but I think it's high time that we start, because the sooner we start, the better the younger generation will be prepared for the coming, the digital world. They need to be empowered in the digital world as well. So, because the meta world, the AI, the machine learning, this is our future. We need to be prepared for that as well. So this is my suggestions.
Yes,
Thank
digital connectivity and get aware. That's the right point. Yes, Ms. Sakala, how you would like to propose or suggest your views?
So one of the things that my father taught me for years was, it is one of the safest countries in the world for women. Safest. You can leave your house. I haven't locked my house in 24 years. If you come to my house today and say, I have to drop off a package, okay, go in through the kitchen or go in through the garden door, we don't lock our houses. Why can't India have higher safety standards for women? That's the first thing that I want to talk about. The other thing is that teaching women a skill set. A lot of the women we talk about, and this is not me, I don't represent the whole of India, we're talking about the women in the villages who don't have education and don't have the capacity to get educated. We need to teach them a skill set, whether it is weaving or stitching or cooking or something, make it into cooperative societies, make them financially independent. Biggest example of that, Lijjat Papad and Amul. I mean, look at what they've done for the women in India. Look at what they've done. They've actually changed the demographics. So this is what I want to do. I want to change one person at a time, the whole country, and I start by educating the women, and I'm going to continue my father and mother's legacy in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sakla. Yes. Yes, Ms. Koki. Maybe your story on your courage and resilience, what you would like to suggest.
When Slovenia became independent from Yugoslavia, I opened my sariko shops because it was very, very, very difficult. I wanted to make it an Indian handicraft shop. And coming to India, we don't know where you sell handicraft for a big bulk or anything. I had to go from villages to villages, search for it. But in the end, India opened International Handicraft Fair in Delhi. And now I'm coming to that fair since last 33 years and getting Indian handicraft to Slovenia, but of a very choice handicraft, not all other. And now I've seen the handicraft in Odisha. I have to come again and get handicraft from Odisha also, because Odisha, I don't think they exhibit that many handicraft in International Handicraft Fair in Delhi, because then I have to come now here to look for it. And that is my next aim, to come here. And then one more thing is that I was left alone with my daughter in Slovenia. She grew up. She went to study in America. She came back and she opened an Indian restaurant. First Indian restaurant in Slovenia, and it is so popular since next year it will be 20 years. We've got authentic Indian cooks and authentic Indian food, which is even our ambassador, Mrs. Namrata, she praises it, and I thank Mrs. Namrata that she sponsored me to come here.
So nice of you.
And I also take part as an Indian citizen. We have an international women's association where we do bazaar every year and sell our own country stuff. Not any other countries, like I sell Indian stuff, and whatever money we get, we give it for the battered woman in Slovenia.
So it's very nice to know now. Odisha, taking
I'm
Odisha
doing
to
a
Slovenia.
lot in the name of India.
And at the Nagis in Mother India, and I had all the goddesses in India. So I needed a role model, and I had to find them in India. So when I became the chair of National Parents Committee, appointed by the King of Norway, this was my first leadership position, The only thing I had with me was Gandhiji's rules and way of thinking about diversity and inclusion and equity. So what I did was focusing on what are similarities among people. I think this is one thing we can bring with us to the Indian government. Connect people by focusing on similarities and embrace differences as way to value creation, sustainability, and innovation. The second thing is that we must involve men and make them responsible for giving women the positions at every level in the country and in organizations, from villages to big national and international companies. I think it's important to think diversity and gender equality and empowering women by helping men to understand why this is a part of building the nation. It's not helping women, it's to create a strong nation in the future. We need India as a strong nation, and I think when I was chair of this national committee of the standard of diversity management, I was really proud that I made it. But the ISO standard, the committee, the chair is my son. He is embracing and developing this standard. So we have to involve men. And the third thing is that I hope we can have this framework, because through this framework, the organization must know how to establish, implement, operate, monitor, and maintain and improve gender equality and women empowerment. So I think we have the framework. So this will be my suggestion.
Yes, your framework. Interesting. So with this, I understand, we have undergone 2 rounds of very thought-provoking discussion, sharing these all lovely ladies, wonderful achievers, their contribution, and also the suggestion, to enable and sustain the women empowerment. Now, I request our Honorable Minister, if you have any questions to any one of them, or we would like to listen from you.
Would you like to take questions from the public?
Maybe one question, because we're running out of time. We can take one question from audience. Yeah. Yes. Any one question?
Michaela, do you have a question?
Yes, a question. Please say your question and to whom you want to ask. Mike, please.
Hello. Yeah. We have a limited time. Actually, I had lots of questions for everybody, but the session, we would take another session for that. रोल मॉडल मेरी माँ सबसे बड़ी रोल मॉडल रही हैं. आपने मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में बात की. आई थिंक आई शुड टॉक इन इंग्लिश. एंड फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस, टीचिंग अ स्किल is an excellent point, but I would like to add on to that, or request maybe to Mr. S. Shankar and the other delegates, that for someone like me who stopped working after 15 years full time because my children were born, we need something so that we can go back to work easily. It's very difficult because aajkal when I was working, the world was like this. Now the world is like this. It's all AI and all computers. I really have to struggle. So maybe something like that, if you could do that. And the other thing, mothers, since we are talking about women empowerment, I have 2 sons. Mothers need to train their sons so that they respect their women and mothers and their grandmothers and the female. So please, that is one thing. And as a politician, this is directly addressed to Mr. Shankar. I don't know whether how much will he be able to help on that account. See, politicians have the power to change the country or the state or the village or their panchayat. If women who in this small way, वो अपने सोसाइटी को ही चेंज करने के लिए किसी को आप उनको थोड़ा पावर दे दे, क्योंकि मैं कुछ भी करना चाहती हूँ, मुझे जिला पंचायत या वो काउंसलर या वो लोकल पॉलिटिशियन के पास जाना पड़ता है. उसमें बहुत दिक्कत होती है, हर चीज में चप्पल घिसना पड़ता है और आपको हर चीज में वेरी इनडायरेक्टली यू आर आस्क्ड. सो प्लीज इफ यू कुड डू समथिंग विद women, maybe 10 लोगों के बीच में ही मैं अगर डिफरेंस बना सकूं, I would be more than happy. Like during COVID, we went for the lunch duty for the Dihadi Mazdoor. That was so fulfilling.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, I have lots to say.
Yes,
I guess I'll stop here.
As we told, we have challenges, but what I want to say, ma'am, if you have self-belief in you,
yes,
anything can be conquered.
Yes. I go ahead and do that.
And I would like now to give to our Honorable Minister, and yes, your concluding remarks for this session, sir.
Thank you very much. And I must say to all of you divas sitting on either side that for me actually it's been really a fascinating discussion to hear your experiences and your thoughts. Now, while I was sitting here listening to you, it struck me that in each one of the countries you come from, I've actually had the direct experience of working with or knowing somebody who would be a great woman role model. In 4 of your countries, Jamaica, Indonesia, Slovenia, Norway, I've had the privilege of working with women foreign ministers as my counterpart. Your current minister is one of my closest friends. Your previous minister, Retno Marsudi, like Kamina Johnson-Smith, these were among my closest colleagues. So I've had a chance in a way to work with them, to kind of respect the contributions that they've made. In 2 countries, Ethiopia and Tanzania, I've actually called on the previous president in Ethiopia and the current president in Tanzania. And in Qatar, of course, we know the social and philanthropic leadership of Her Highness's Foundation. So in each one of your countries, there are actually very powerful role models, and I think, in a way, best practices are something which clearly have a relevance in that field. Now, I do believe that women make great diplomats, very good leaders, and we will have the privilege later in the afternoon of listening to a leader role model from India, which is our own very president, who is from the great state of Odisha. Now, when it comes to diplomats, it's interesting. I was looking at the Indian Foreign Service, and I found that actually there's been a very significant uptick in the number of women who've joined the Foreign Service. And when I look at the last 10 years, since 2014, women are actually 36.3% of the total diplomats, the Indian Foreign Service officers who've joined. I am confident those numbers would be higher. Now, having said that, I think many of the, the points you made, the confidence, the inner strength, the responsibility, the mental, the fortitude, the multitasking, and most of all, the ability to shape family thinking. So I think one of the suggestions which we heard from the floor, why it is important to teach in terms of the ground changes, but look in terms of the policy and the impact changes. Today we have women officers in 12 arms and services of the Indian military. That is a big change. I mean, you are the daughter of a service officer, so you would appreciate what it means. Or you look at political leadership. The question was raised that I have to go to a Zilla Panchayat, I have to go to a legislative assembly, I have to go to parliaments. Now, for us, the passing of the Nari Shakti Adhinayam, where 33% reservation is guaranteed, this will bring about a change. Or if one looks today at entrepreneurship, that when we say, we talk of Lakpati Didi, we talk of Mudra, we talk of Swanidhi loan programs, unsecured programs to allow women entrepreneurship. The number of women who actually availed of loans under Stand Up India, I think, exceeds 70%. So how do we encourage them to get into public life? How do we encourage greater entrepreneurship? But most of all, sitting next to you, how do they actually bring their talents to bear on technology? Creation of technology, but also deployment of technology. So, it's interesting. We have a program called Drone Didi. Drone Didi is to teach young women how to operate drones so that in the villages, they are actually able to use drones to sort of contribute to agricultural performance. So my concluding remarks, even though I'm sitting next to you, is Nari Shakti is not rocket science. Nari Shakti should be an attitude, it should be a belief, it should be internalized, but I'm sure a rocket scientist can actually inspire us most of all in Nari Shakti.
Thank you so much, sir. You are the huge inspiration for all of us. Let me say that. And yes, with the final words, what I would like to say, Indian women diaspora representing a dynamic blend of tradition and modernity, making invaluable contributions to the global stage while staying deeply rooted in their heritage. So all of your achievements, not only enhance India's global image, but also inspires millions of women worldwide to dream big and break barriers. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Honorable Minister, sir, for chairing the session so well, and thank you to our befitting moderator. Thank you, our esteemed panelists. I'll take pride once again reminding all of you that it was our Honorable Prime Minister vision, dream, which Odisha government has successfully implemented through the revolutionary Subhadra Yojana by strengthening the grassroots domain. And we have one of the key role players. Please give a round of applause to our Deputy CM Madam Prabhati Parida and to our dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed fantastic session, and thank you audience for full house present and support throughout the session. For the very first session, I didn't have to remind all of you for a round of applause or anything. It was totally contagious energy. Once again, thanking all of you. Please come forward and let's pose a group photograph. Thank you so much. And please stay tuned. We will witness another power-packed session shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
To India with India. It is to be imparted to children. The Ramayana is being imparted to our children in our Baikas and Ramayana Mandali throughout the country in Mauritius. The Baikas also is being used to teach Hindi and recite the Ramayana every week, maybe twice a week in Mauritius. So we are